Anyone But You filmmaker Will Gluck has returned to the genre in which he first made his name. The New York native has spent much of the past decade making family films such as Annie, 2014, and two Peter Rabbit movies, mainly because he wanted to entertain his own young family. Now that his children are older, Gluck has made his way back to the star-driven romantic comedy after beginning his rom-com career with Emma Stone and Penn Badgley in 2010's Easy A, and then Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake in 2011's Friends with Benefits. He's currently taking the same approach with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell in Anyone But You, which is loosely based on William Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. With the major studios all deprioritizing the comedy genre the last handful of years, Gluck admits that he felt the pressure to recapture the theatrical energy of his films in the early 2010s. I really did feel a huge obligation to maybe make the last rom-com in the history of cinema and theatricality, Gluck tells The Hollywood Reporter. I really wanted this to feel big and epic and musical and funny and sexy and edgy and adult in order to get people to experience it in the theater with their friends and their dates. I sound like a pitchman, but I guarantee that when you walk out of this movie, you will have had a good, fun experience, which rom-coms always deliver. With two rising stars in Sweeney and Powell, Australian Paparazzi had a field day, as countless set photos made their way online. Gossip rags immediately jumped on the situation as well, but Gluck says that his two leads took all the interest and curiosity in stride. We were actually a little bit surprised with the amount of photographs that were taken of the set and how far they went, Gluck recalls. It got so broad that the studio would call me and have a question about a piece of clothing. And I was like, you saw that from the paparazzi because we never put that in our movie. Sid and Glenn embraced it. They didn't hide from them. Gluck recently engaged in a Notes app duel with the Curse co-creator Nathan Fielder, as the latter accused Anyone But You of plagiarizing the Curse's trailer introduction with their own identical pre-roll of sorts. The link between both creatives is Gluck's former leading lady and Fielder's current Curse leading lady, Emma Stone, and Gluck won't say if she's the one pulling the strings on this running gag. My attorneys have told me that I'm not allowed to speak about that, but all of us were very happy with the way it turned out. And it might not be over yet, Gluck says dryly. Below, during a recent conversation with THR, Gluck also discusses his failed plan to turn Anyone But You's paparazzi attention into a scavenger hunt, and how he pulled off additional photography in record time, post-strike. So after making a few family films, can we call Anyone But You a return to your roots? You can call it anything you want. I did those family films for my kids at that age, and now that my kids have gotten older, I'm going to move on. Yeah. All the movies I make are where I am with my family and their lives, and they're now at the age where they'll hopefully enjoy it. You and Sony seem to like each other, and I'm pretty sure they're the only studio you've ever worked with. Do you have a deal with them, or just a firm handshake? I've had an overall deal there for 14 years, so it's been a long time. But I do like them a lot. The last few years, we've all wondered what happened to studio rom-coms and comedies. The streamers then wisely filled that void. But between your movie and Jennifer Lawrence's No Hard Feelings earlier this year, do you get the sense that Sony is prioritizing the genre again? I'm not just saying this, but I think Sony realizes that, at the end of the day, people enjoy going to see movies with other people. The rom-com is great when you see it with other people, friends, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, but also other people in the theater. That's when the emotion rolls over you, and you have such a good time that you walk out and want to go do something with those friends. And recently, rom-coms have been at home, so you watch them by yourself or with someone else, but you're on your phone and doing something else at the same time, so you don't really get the impact of the movie. If you put some of the streaming rom-coms in theaters, we wouldn't feel that rom-coms have gone away. But I really did feel a huge obligation to maybe make the last rom-com in the history of cinema and theatricality. I really wanted this to feel big and epic and musical and funny and sexy and edgy and adult in order to get people to experience it in the theater with their friends and their dates. I sound like a pitchman, but I guarantee that when you walk out of this movie, you will have had a good, fun experience, which rom-coms always deliver. We need a fun movie, especially now, and this is a fun movie. As I was watching this movie, a number of the scenes looked very familiar. It was almost like I'd seen dozens of paparazzi photos of them already. Do you chalk all those set photos up to shooting on location with two lead actors on the rise? There's two young actors on the rise at a great location, in very little clothing, and they really like each other. So that makes for a very good photograph, and we were actually a little bit surprised with the amount of photographs that were taken of the set and how far they went. It got so broad that the studio would call me and have a question about a piece of clothing. And I was like, you saw that from the paparazzi because we never put that in our movie. So that's how big it got, which was always kind of cool. Sid and Glenn embraced it. They didn't hide from them. Also, in Sydney, Australia, the paparazzi are so polite. If you asked them to leave us alone, they would. So it was neat to have everyone back home and around the world see what we were doing. There's no source material for this movie except for William Shakespeare. So, if you haven't read Much Ado About Nothing and the paparazzi photos are your only source material, then connecting the dots might be fun for some people.